Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Jason.
I've been doing this podcast since September of 2012, and boy, are my lips tired.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. The unhappy thing is that Alex can't join us today. She's off. She's dealing with some kind of an appointment. I'm not sure what kind. So hopefully not a medical one, because we know she's been through a lot of that kind of stuff. But we'll be seeing her again next week. But I do have a special guest joining me today. His name is Isaac. Isaac is like, he's one of those people who have an amazing story. Isaac Baroukh. This guy he started with the roughest of possible beginnings, and he's turned it into absolute miracle. And we're going to hear about that story. But first of all, Isaac, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Man, I'm winning, Walt. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad that you could make it. All right. So you got to give people your background, your bio, so to speak. So tell people, where you came from and how you got to where you are, because that's a story all by itself.
It is a whole story, man. It is. But originally I'm from Paris, France. Well, Paris, kind of like the outskirts, the little ghettos over there, moved to the United States. And then it's been a whole journey, man. Entrepreneurship is fun and it's cool on Instagram and it's cool on YouTube, but in real life, it takes a lot of balls. Can I curse on this thing? I don't know.
Oh, well, fortunately we don't go over the airwaves, so the FCC has nothing to say. So, have fun.
Okay. Okay. Right on. Yeah. Entrepreneurship can be fun. But it takes a lot of risk, and at the beginning, unless you're one of those unicorns, you're going to hit your head, and that's what it's been. And thank God it took off.
And I'll tell you, he's actually kind of lowballing it here in terms of what his background is, because he had it really, compared to many people, he had it really rough as he was growing up. And I mean, I don't know how you can downplay that, Isaac. I honestly can't, because it's phenomenal. It's just, be honest. I mean, how often do people come out of the circumstances you had and produce the kind of result you produce? That's a fairly rare thing.
I guess so, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's not something that I look at too much. I just like to look forward.
I hear you.
There was some rough times, man. There was some times where, especially after I got divorced, that one's straight to living from kind of a small little apartment, $1,500 a month. Could barely afford that to living in a hostel with a bunch of, hostel party. I had my little bed, and then I lived on the street for a little bit. Oh man. Yeah. It's a journey. A journey. Now, man, I'll show you the view now. It's a whole different ball game.
Ooh. Oh man. What a cityscape that is.
Yeah. Thank God, man. Thank God. It's a blessing.
Well, I think you can also thank the fact that you have clearly been working on yourself for years, because you don't get this far without doing the work, and you've definitely done the work. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever.
I'm happy you said that, man. I don't like people that say, oh man, thank God, and I'm gonna wait for, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, or whoever you believe in to just give me a free, there's nothing free. If you were blessed with 2 hands, 2 feet, working brain, you got all the blessings you need in the world to make shit happen. The rest is in your hands.
And I can just see it on your face. Your face, I mean, 99% of our listeners are listeners only. They don't see the video. So I gotta tell them, on Isaac's face as I'm talking to him, his face is just lit up with joy. I mean, absolutely just bright light joy coming out of his face right now. And I can tell that's the way you live. That's your day to day, right?
Yeah, I'm an optimist, man. I'm aggressive. I'm all offense all the time, but I'm an optimist, I mean, I'll tell you something funny, Walt. Just the other day, I went grocery shopping. I don't go grocery shopping a lot because it's not a very productive thing to do, but I did. And, there was this girl that was just basically just calculating her groceries, like 25 cents, $1.25, $2 for the potato. And I'm watching this, Walt. On my mother. I tear the fuck up on the spot. I tear up. Poof. And I'm like, because I used to be like that.
Yeah.
Stretch ramen for 2 months just to figure it out,
Right. Sure.
So how can I not be happy, man?
Yeah, I hear you. The thing that always gets me, like, we were talking before the show. I've done a whole bunch of these episodes over the years, and I've had so many great guests on the show. And the one theme that keeps popping up over and over and over again is somebody experiences some sort of massive trauma, or they have a tough childhood, or something really rough happens along the way. They somehow get their way through it. They come out the other side. They fly like crazy, and then when they look back, they say, wow, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm curious, is that the best thing that ever happened to you, going through that crap?
I don't know. I don't know about best thing, man. I could have, I wish I didn't have to like wear the same shirt for fucking 2 weeks in a row and make it smell good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And figure it out, the distance between me and a prospect so that they don't smell the fucking, but it made me. The first book
That's it. That's the kind of thing. I mean, everybody agrees they never want to have to go through that again. Ever, ever, ever. But they all agree that's where I got the most out of it. I learned the most. I developed the most. I moved light years because of that.
I was on the phone with Mark Shapiro, huge mogul in real estate.
Yeah.
And he's like, Isaac, this was yesterday. He's like, Isaac, you haven't lived till you've lost one or two fortunes. So that means that in the future, there's another pain that's coming. Light and darkness. It's going to happen again if I want to get to that next level. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
He's diving. Okay. So, and then you have a thing called Wolfpack Elite. First of all, I just love the title, but what is that? Tell us what that's all about.
You know what? The simplest way to explain that, it's a mentorship program based on my activities. Okay. For years, I've been putting it on Instagram that I wake up at 4 a.m., I work out, I work hard, I don't take feelings seriously, and I keep moving forward. And repeat, and repeat, and repeat. So literally, you take my stories, that's the program. I mentor people, I get them out of their comfort zone if they're overweight. Because fitness is an extremely important part of my life. Important. Very important. I get you fit, I get you disciplined, I get you hard. And I get you out of that comfort zone, and that way you can accomplish something. That's the Wolfpack. And it's breeding badass motherfuckers. You should see them all. They all wake up at 4, they all DM me, or they all, Wolfpack hashtag, and woof, they go. And it's evolving to something phenomenal.
Well, obviously, if you have the people involved in multitudes, in significant numbers like that, not only are they all obviously committed to what they're doing, but there's an energy that goes with that. When you have that many people all communicating, all interacting, there's an energy that exceeds the number of people that are involved, and it drives things.
It's like the book Laws of Success by, is it Napoleon Hill? I don't know, the big one, not the small one. The first chapter talks about the mastermind effect, which is a collective group of people will always have a bigger result. And that's fact.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember the first time I read Napoleon Hill, the first one I read was Think and Grow Rich. And I remember him describing the mastermind. And I thought to myself, well, first of all, I didn't get the book the first time. I didn't understand it. Didn't make any sense to me. I was like, no, this is a bunch of hooey.
Too woo-woo. Right?
Yeah. Oh, way too far out in the woo-woo land. Yeah. But when he talked about the mastermind, I said, but that doesn't make sense. If you got 5 people, you got the minds of 5 people. And how does this turn into more than that? I didn't quite get that. And I have to admit, it took me many years to really grasp that it was true, first of all. And second of all, to grasp how it worked. I think that was actually the hardest one to figure out. But I mean, I don't know what your explanation is. For me, the explanation is just pure energy. That with all of the universe is energetic. Everything is vibrational, and that vibrational essence, the way I like to think about it is like, you have a tuning fork, you hit a tuning fork on the table, and there's another tuning fork in the room, and it picks up the same vibration. Or you have, 2 grandfather clocks, and the pendulums are out of sync, but within 5 minutes they're in sync, that kind of thing. There's that energetic connection that goes on between everything and everything. And that's how I start to make sense out of, oh yeah, there can be an increase. There can be more than just the sum of the parts.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's for the good and for the bad also.
It
You
works
know,
both ways, doesn't it?
first thing I do with my clients is I work on their circle. First thing I do, like, who are your friends? You know, I put out this video that didn't go viral, but it got a lot of hit, which is in 2023. It's show me your text messages. I'll tell you your future. You know,
Yeah, yeah. And there's
and
science to back that too, by the way.
and for me, I'll tell you, I'll be very vulnerable right now. It came from a place from last year. I didn't rest on my laurels because I don't know how to not work hard. It's not something I know how to do. I always
Mm-hmm.
work hard,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoyed the fruits of my labor way too much last year. You know, the parties and the flights and the women and at a very, very high level. And I got lost,
Ah.
you know, and I started feeling empty. I'm talking about empty, Walt. And first thing I did, you know, went home, took the time. She said something, you know, my mother's a simple woman, you know, but just so you understand the type of woman she is, when we came to the United States, she was the lunch lady and custodian for the private school I went to because we couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she wanted me to be surrounded by good stuff.
Okay.
Anyways, simple woman, but a lot of heart. She said, Isaac, who are you hanging around with? And then, poof. First thing I did when I got back, Walt, I cut off everybody. I'm talking
Wow.
about overnight. Just, hey guys, I can't talk to you motherfuckers anymore. You're done. You're done. I'm talking about in 30 days, boom, everything went back to normal. Mastermind works both ways.
It does. It does.
It's powerful.
And it is one of the most powerful concepts in almost all of the different circles, I guess we'll call them, whether they be law of attraction circles, psychology, any kind of coaching circles. I mean, I don't care what kind of circles you're talking about. It's going to be true in all of them. But the number one factor in determining the success of an individual toward anything they're trying to be successful at, doesn't matter what it is their social connectedness. The degree, and that's been, actually has been tested. There have been
Like that.
studies done on this. One of the best studies that I ever heard, I still haven't seen it published anywhere, but I know it exists because it was done by the guy who told us about it. His name is Sean Aker. He's one of the spokesmen of the positive psychology movement that has emerged in the last 20, 25 years. He talks about how he did this story when he was at Harvard. He was a Harvard grad. And while he was there, he did this study where he involved basically about 1/5 of the entire school in this study. And the study was basically something he came up with to just help the overstressed undergraduates to understand what it was going to take for them to succeed with all the dreams that they had. Because it's almost cliche how overstressed Harvard students are going to be because it's like, you know, this very prestigious university and they're all the best of the best and they come there and everybody else is the best of the best. And like, oh my God, I can't handle this. You know, so there's lots of burnout, all kinds of crazy stuff. So he wanted to try to take the pressure off for some of them and help them understand, you know, you're going to make it. It's going to be okay. So that's why he did this study. So he collected questions about everything you could imagine. There were questions about, you know, what's your family, you know, how do you study? What courses are you taking? What pursuit are you aiming for in life? You know, when you're studying, do you study in the library? Do you study on the local study hall? Do you go to the common room? Do you do it in your dorm? Where do you do it? You know, he had like long lists of these questions. None of them correlated. None of them, except for the very last question that he threw in as an afterthought that was all about social connectedness. And it turns out that the correlation between social connectedness and whether or not you're going to be successful in life is 0.7. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but as a comparison, the correlation between smoking cigarettes and getting cancer is 0.44. So that gives you an idea of just how big a correlation is. Basically, what it's saying is that factor all by itself is 70% predictive of your success. Yeah.
70%.
70%.
That's fucking massive.
Isn't that something?
That's
One
massive.
factor all by itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, I believe it. I believe it. I see this year. I see last year. It's a whole different game.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, now I'm going to be curious to know what your take is on this. For me, the other 30% is how you feel about yourself. how committed you are to yourself, how much how much self-confidence you have, how much self-love, self-esteem, how much you really do appreciate yourself in every way, because we human beings are really great at beating the crap out of ourselves.
We are. Shit.
I mean, really, it's just truth. It's just the fact. So the more that we can learn to not only be kind to ourselves, but also to reorient how we think about ourselves and then combine that with who we connect to, that to me is the magic formula. But I'm curious to know what your take is.
A little bit different. My take's a little bit different than yours.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. I think that people are way too much in their heads.
Okay.
Too much of this thinking about, like, these are all big words. Okay. Respectfully. Interconnectedness, mindset, your mind, self-talk, very, very big words. I don't think people are that smart. I don't think I'm that smart. I don't think any of us need to be that smart unless you're a brain surgeon. I think shit needs to be really fucking simple, which is just get to work. I mean, think about like 1878, like this is when the typewriter was invented. That changed the world. We went from, the church having the monopoly of knowledge to now it's everywhere. Everybody's way too fucking smart. They're so smart. They have these big words and I gotta love myself and I need to think about how I feel and my subconscious and my father and my mother and how they beat me. Bro, shut the fuck up. Get to work. Get up. Get up. I had this guy. I did a podcast or live and he asked me this question. He goes, well, how do you expect me to get up in the morning at 4 a.m? I'm like, get the fuck up. Like what? Well, I talk to myself. Don't talk to yourself. Just get up. like growing up, there was none of this, and I'm 31, it's not so far off, but my dad would come in the room, get up. Yes, sir. We got up. If not, you got whooped. Like, simple. Today, these kids and people, they're reading all this stuff, which is phenomenal content. But buddy, it's still action that wins the game. It's applied action that wins the game. So that extra 30% for me, it's like, hey, interconnectedness, cool. Self-talk, love yourself, touch yourself. Hey, dude, do whatever you want, man. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Do whatever you want, but get the fucking work. Like, that's it. Action. That's the recipe.
Okay, I hear you. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, and I'll tell you why it is that I came to the conclusion that just going to work doesn't cut it.
Okay. I didn't say both. I said 30%.
Okay, fair enough. That's a fair point. I'll take that. But anyway, let me tell you the story. I became an entrepreneur full-time in 2002. I had started part-time in 1995. And when I left 2002, it was my last corporate job. I was working in IT. I was a server administrator. And went off on my own and did okay, not bad, not great. It wasn't really growing like crazy. I was providing web services to nonprofit organizations primarily, and kept going and kept growing and growing. And then 2008 comes along, and I got wiped out of business, kind of like what Shapiro was talking about. And then it didn't make any difference what I did. Everything I did lost after that. Everything failed after that. And I was putting in. Talk about getting up early in the morning. I was putting in 60, 70, 80-hour weeks every single week. I just kept going and going and going, and now it's getting worse and worse and worse. I was going deeper and deeper into debt. My business was getting worse and worse. Everything was failing. Everything was failing, and I didn't understand why. And actually is what led me to start this podcast. Because I was doing what I'd been taught to do, and it wasn't working.
Okay.
And when I started discovering all that, mushy, good feeling stuff and digging into the past and so forth, that's when I was able to unwind all the stuff that was in my way and turn things around.
100%. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even going to call it the mushy stuff. It's the good stuff. It's the good stuff. The amount of work that I did on my inner game is hundreds of thousands of dollars invested. You can't
Mm-hmm.
even imagine.
Mm.
Time spent, meditation, writing, journaling, walking, you name it, I've done it. Courses, there's not one I haven't taken. Books, there's not one I haven't read. I'm obsessed with it.
Excellent. I love it.
But look what you did first, though. You said you had the core, which was actions. You were an actionable individual. So by the time somebody gave you the keys to the kingdom, you were able to run that kingdom like there was no tomorrow. Just, you were hitting it.
Honestly, it was not that quick. It honestly took years before I was able to turn it around. There was
Better
so
than
much
ever.
better than ever, no doubt about that. But there was a lot of muck in the system that had to be worked out.
Oh man, trust.
A
Of
whole
course.
bunch of it. Yeah.
Oh man. I got blessed that again, I was born a little bit earlier than you. So it was more accessible and a little bit everywhere, right? Today
Mm-hmm.
it's, before it wasn't. It was just, like you said, it was really the mushy stuff back then. Today it's accessible and everybody believes
Oh,
in it.
all over the place. Yeah, yeah. Back then it was like, forget it. That was just
Yeah.
off the wall stuff.
Right. There was one Dale Carnegie course that you could go to and then,
That was
one
about
Zig
it. Yeah.
Ziglar and that's
Yeah.
it.
There wasn't a whole lot more than that. Maybe Tony Robbins if you wait a little bit. Yeah. But, yeah, there wasn't much
that's-
more than that.
That's where I got lucky. I think that's why I think this where I'm at was a cool place to be born, cool year to be born, because it's right before things got all in your head, and a little bit right after. Oh, this is some crap. This is crap. Right in the middle. So I got a little bit of the old school, a little bit of the new school. I think we meet in the middle. I think we're saying the same thing.
I think we are actually. I mean, everybody's got a different experience, of course, and so that experience is going to inform things. But like I repeatedly say, just about every single episode, I love the perspectives. I love the different perspectives. I learn more from perspectives than anything else. I learn the most from the ones I disagree with the most, which is really cool. I like that part a lot. But that's if I have to point to one thing above everything else that I've gotten out of just doing this podcast for the last 10 years, is that learning from all those different perspectives, because I don't know how to quantify it. It is invaluable.
There is no price for knowledge. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, wow.
Yeah, it's really something. So tell us a little bit more about the Wolfpack, though, because I'm really intrigued by what you guys do. I mean, obviously, this is not just you doing one-on-one. This is a group thing going on here. There's a lot of people interacting with each other. What's that interaction like?
Well, we have them on Telegram. We have them also on a personal app where everybody just interacts. We meet up on a weekly group call every Sunday. I do it on Sunday as well on purpose because I remember going out. Sunday was a time where, man, if I did a lot of drugs, if I did a lot of party, if I had a lot of women that night, I would wake up feeling like shit, and having that support system, is phenomenal, and I call everybody out on their shit. I'm a no filter individual. That's the Wolfpack. I always say it's not the cat pack, so keep your sensitivity outside. Man, we have celebrities in there. We have a lot of serious people, man. I had, this guy, he was like I'm not going to say what. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but, he gets on the meeting. He said, Isaac, just want to say this week was great. Da, da, da. And I say, buddy, you made a commitment of X, Y, and Z this week. I didn't see you fucking do it. Well, what are you so cheery about?
Yeah.
And the next week he did it and he was sober and he killed it. So the Wolfpack, we have group and then we have one-on-one. One-on-one's when I really come into your life and we turn it around in about 90 days. Within a year, you're definitely a human being that's unrecognizable. Body is fit, no fat. You're strong. Your business, we took it to that next level. It's powerful, man. It's powerful. And people get better.
Well, that's the bottom line. You want people to get better. I mean, you wouldn't be doing it if you weren't getting that level of satisfaction, knowing that people are getting better. What would be the point?
It's the funnest thing. It's incredible. I'm like, I never thought I'd have time for it. I never thought it would bring me such joy, but it's bringing me more joy than money, than any car, than anything. To take somebody go ahead.
How'd you start doing it? I mean, what was the impetus behind getting it going in the first place?
I was on the call with one of my coaches, Wes Watson. I paid him like 40, 50K a year. And he's like, Isaac, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm like, why is that? And he's on the phone with Andy Frisilla, the guy from 75 Hard. And they're like, Isaac, you live the lifestyle. You have the cars, you have the flights, the this, the that. You've been waking up at 4. You have to give this to people. And I said, nah, guys. I ain't got time for this shit. You guys know me. I ain't got time for this shit. They said, trust me, let's just do it. You need to. And you have these 2 huge guys that I look up to that tell me to do it. Who might argue, you know? And man, it took off like, everyone's buying in. They're happy. They're excited. They're getting better. And it's bringing me it's bringing me more accountability, more than joy even. I gotta make sure I'm up at 4 because I see all of them watching my stories. You know, it's phenomenal. It's a blessing.
It makes sense because, well, first of all, any kind of coaching has accountability as a major factor. That's just going to be part of it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you have a coach.
Right.
But the fact that the coach is being held accountable or feeling himself being held accountable, that to me, that's a sign of 2 things. First, it's a sign that the coach is really invested. Like, this isn't just something to do. This is something that he's really invested in. He's invested in the process. He's invested in the success of his mentees. He's invested in the whole thing. It's like, this is part of the life now. This is part of how you breathe. It's about how you circulate your blood. So that's one big part. The second part that it tells me is that, like you said, you love it. And when you love something, that increases the vibration. That's the way we usually express it. What that amounts to is it makes it more powerful.
Right.
It basically, it's like stepping on the gas pedal, so to speak. So it takes where you were at and just like, it just like throws everything into gear and all, 500 horsepower just kicking right in. I mean, that's what it does when you have that love for what you're doing like that.
I agree, man. I don't think I've ever worked so hard because now that makes it 3 businesses. And it's just, but it makes me so happy. So I'm like, what? Let's keep going. Let's find another way. I just hired another team right now to just do some more marketing. Cause I mean, I'm not a candle. I'm not going to burn out. I'm on limited energy.
Well, you could. I mean, if you didn't have that love, you probably would actually. You have to have the love for it. Otherwise you're going to burn yourself out, right?
You just said it.
Yeah.
I like that, Walt. I like that. That's true. If you don't like it, then you're burning. If you love it though, it's energetic. It's magic almost.
It fuels itself.
It's
exactly.
So that's the Wolfpack, man. We got the fitness program, which is literally just fitness and macros, and you can be in my weekly program. We got the one-on-one mentee, which is with me directly bi-weekly, and we got a tier 1, which is one-on-one every single week. And I'm really in your life. And we're turning that motherfucker around.
So, is this something that you just kind of do an immersion? You do all of it at once, or do you like step through it one at a time, or how does that work?
It really depends on your needs, what you want to do, how much time you can allocate to self-development, also financial wherewithal. If you don't have money, you can't hire a coach, but you can at least get into some macros and we can get you on the weekly meeting.
Right.
Depends on different things for sure.
Because that always struck me as the interesting challenge for any kind of coach, because that's really a form of coaching that you're doing there. Particularly 100%. Somebody who's a financial coach, because the people who need the financial coaching the most are the ones who don't have the financial means, which is always, that's like one of those catch-22 things,
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, sure.
I never take that as an excuse. Ever. When I had $1,027, I hired a coach. I paid him $1,000 for the month, and I stretched $27 into ramen and ketchup. That's a real story. Because I said, you know what? What the fuck is $1,000? It's paper. It's cotton. It smells like shit. I just right.
I love that. That's great.
and in 2020, 21, 22, 23, it's not even a paper. It's a number. It's
electronic. Yeah.
It's a pixel. Mm-hmm. And I remember the coach closing me on the phone on teaching me how to sell. And he's like, it's $1,000. And I'm looking at my bank account, 1,027, Bank of America. And I said, these pixels, I remember these well, these pixels can't do shit for me at all. I can hold them as much as I want. It's still $1,000. So I processed the payment. I learned how to sell. That's a skill I have till today.
Mm.
So I had this kid. I just closed him right now. He's like, man, I don't have enough money. I'm like, pull the fuck up. I'm like, if that's really meant, I'm not your coach, man. Like, you're not talking to some guy that walked out with a golden spoon in his hand. I've lived it, and I've paid for the coaching. I've paid for the mentorship, because there's nothing more valuable than knowledge. You're too obsessed with money. Money's not that important. It's not.
No, it's actually more than the knowledge, isn't it? Because when you're talking about an interaction with another person who's been there, done that, that goes far beyond knowledge. That's into the social connection thing we were talking about a moment ago. There's a value in there that I'm not even sure how you describe it, but there's nothing that compares to it that I can think of.
No, man, it's powerful, man. It just, people are so obsessed with the dollar. It's fucking them up. You gotta release. Just stop caring about money. Don't get me wrong. Money's great. It's a nice way to target how you're doing and how you're providing value to the marketplace. 100%. But if you actually love the dollar, you're not going to make much, because you're never going to want to reinvest and release it. You're going to be so obsessed on conserving this trash. No, that's not good. You got to be able to exchange it all the time.
I think probably the best way I ever heard it described is that money is energy. And if the energy doesn't flow, it's not energy.
If the energy doesn't flow, it's not energy. That's exactly it. That's it. You're right. You're on point.
Yeah. So it's got to flow. If you're not flowing it, what are you doing? You're not doing much of anything, really. You're holding on to energy. It's like I had one of my clients, she's doing well in her life, she's making 10, 12 grand a month, something light. But she still cleans her own house and cleans her own cars. And I told her, I'm like, what are you doing? She, I gotta finish cleaning my dishes. I'm like, why are you cleaning your own dishes? Well, I'm like, get a housekeeper. They're expensive. I'm like, your life's fucking expensive. You might die tomorrow. Is this really how you want to spend the last few hours of your life? Is to wash your car and to save what, $100 for a housekeeper? Chill. Let it out. Release. You'll make more money. I need you to stop being so attached. You can't make $1 million if you're attached to 200. It's impossible. Impossible. You can't take it with you either, Walt. That's a great point. Yeah. By the way, there is some value in washing dishes. I can attest to that. It's a great way to,
please enlighten me.
It's a great way to take your mind off of crap and just do something manual to just clear your head.
Do burpees.
Well, there are a lot of ways you can do it, but I'm just saying that is one good way to do it.
How is that better than going for a walk, let's say? And it's not
necessarily
beautiful
better. It's an alternative
to do dishes.
Yeah, dishes, any kind of mundane test. I'm not saying that you want to necessarily make that your ongoing thing, but it does help clear the mind. I've used it.
Doing dishes, I can't agree with that point.
Yeah,
I can't. I can't, and that's okay. It's about perspectives. No way in hell you're ever gonna catch me doing dishes. I'll take it, I'll put it in the dishwasher, and that's it. I put that shit in the dishwasher with food on it. You know what I mean? Not a chance. Listen, even the pharaohs, I just came back from Egypt, a few months ago, 2 months ago, time flies. These massive, huge towers where the pharaohs tried to hold their slaves and their diamonds and their gold. It's still there.
Yeah.
They haven't taken a penny to heaven, buddy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'll have a housekeeper come in every day if I have to.
That's really what the message is, because, it's fine to use something like a mundane task to clear your mind. Right. But if you're clearing your mind for the purpose of allowing yourself to just continue to be frazzled about money, that's not really clearing your mind. That's actually reversing it, so to speak. That's basically using it against yourself.
I like that. So I guess it's about really being honest with yourself. Like, are you doing
You
this
do.
to clear your mind,
Which is
or are
it?
you
Yeah.
doing this to save $60? Come on
Yeah. Which
now.
one? Yeah. And it can be one or the, it can be both, but it's usually one or the other. There's usually not an overlap going on there.
Right, right.
Usually, because why would you want to clear your mind? Well, because you got too much crap going on there. It really has
Right,
very little to do with whether or not you're hanging on to money. It has to do with, oh my God, there's all this stuff going on, blah, 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 and you got to clear it,
right.
But once you clear it out, does that mean that you have to keep doing the dishes? No. It means you cleared your head. Good. Move on. Next thing.
Next
That's why you
thing,
cleared
let's
it, so
go.
you can take the next step.
Call the housekeeper.
Call the housekeeper. Yeah. Which, by the way, I do. I like doing that. I like having the housekeeper come. It makes my life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, whatever you can, I'm big on experience. When I was very young, 21, my best friend, whose name was also Isaac, he died from a motorcycle accident,
Mm.
and, I'm really old school. Like, I'll never really cry in front of a female, I gotta be the man of the house, how that goes. But, I cried like a little puppy, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I told myself I would really do my best to take hold of every single day like it was my last. And if that's the case, I will not be fucking doing dishes. That's it, man.
I feel like I just
You
threw a
know?
poison pill into your head or something. I mean, good grief.
Yeah. I'd rather call my daughter, go for a walk. Anything else, buddy.
Hey, it's like any other process. No process is right for everybody. No
Oh,
method
100%.
for accomplishing what you want to do is right for everybody. There are
100%.
just going to be some things that don't fit you, and there are going to be other things that fit you like a glove. The real challenge there is to find which ones work and which ones don't, so you know which ones to do, which ones to stay away
Right.
from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's a baseline of like what you shouldn't do, right? Like, stay away from the drugs. That's a good start. You know
That's
what I mean?
good. I'll buy into that entirely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going through like mental problems, you're having a lot of financial problems, stay away from the liquor as well, and all substances, including marijuana. You know what I mean?
Well, I consider that to be part of the drugs, but I get your point. Yeah.
Same. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I love it. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a drug. 100%. You need your mind clear. Get healthy in those moments,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see people going over breakups with love, and first thing they do, I'm like, no, you gotta do the complete opposite, buddy. Exercise, eat well, meditate. You need your head clear so you can heal this guy,
I went through a breakup. I went through a divorce in the last 6 months, and it was miserable.
Congratulations.
Well, I can agree with that now. At the time, I'm not sure I would have agreed with that, but I can agree with that now. But if I had tried to do that with liquor, oh my God,
Oh my God.
that would have been awful.
You know what? 7 months ago, I went through a breakup as well. And I was still, in that mode of, women, and it was so hard to get out and heal myself because, when you drink, you're a lot in your head. It magnifies things.
Well, plus whenever you're drinking or drugging or anything like that, what you're really trying to do is mask the pain. And the big mistake that happens there is when you mask the pain, it never ends. The only way to end the pain is to live the pain through until it dissipates. But if you keep covering it, it just comes back the next time that, the substance drains out of your body. Oh, there's the pain again. Hasn't gone away, hasn't gone anywhere. So it's kind of like the equivalent of, the old thing about a Band-Aid, right? How do you take a Band-Aid off? Well, you can take it off one hair at a time. That'll really feel good, right? and then using the method we're talking about here, not only are you taking it off one hair at a time, but then you're putting it back on and doing it again 24 hours later.
Wow. What an analogy. I love that.
But that's what drugging is. It's very deceptive because we think that we're covering the pain up. We think that the pain is going away, but it's not. It's actually getting it worse.
It fucking is. And for me, it was liquor and it was cocaine. It was both of them together because that's what happens.
A combo. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great especially with rich people. They love that shit. You know what I mean? They'll do it in a boat. They'll do it in a supercar. And you're like, hey, I'm the king of the world, man. Your ego's up the ass. And it's masking at a level that it's not only do you put it back, it's you add more shit on that Band-Aid because it gets deeper and
Oh
deeper
yeah,
and deeper.
because you have to infect the cut now, right? That's really what's going on. Let's make this puppy worse than it was 24 hours ago.
And right. But you feel good for those few hours. You're like, this is great. This is great. But, like you said, it's not until you stop and you let it dissipate, you confront,
And I'll tell you one of the biggest surprises for me. I remember this really distinctly. It was the first time I actually allowed myself to just feel pain from the moment that I first felt it and just feel it through. I was astonished how quick a time it was. Right. It doesn't last long at all.
Wow. But when you're in it, did you feel like that?
When I was in it, it just felt pain. I was like, oh my God, this is just pain.
Yeah.
And then it went away and I felt the relief. And then the person who was working with me pointed out that the pain was gone. And I said, oh yeah, I hadn't noticed. You know what I mean? I literally had not taken conscious awareness of, oh my God, I worked through the pain. It's gone now.
Congratulations, man. That's beautiful, brother.
But when you first realize that, I mean, literally you can work through pain depending on what it is. Some things it's going to take days. Some things could even take weeks. But most cases, most pains you can work through in an hour or less. And sometimes like 5 to 10 minutes. You can.
Most pains. Yeah, you're right, because there's nothing that dramatic that happens nowadays, really.
Yeah. Unless it's something that you've been playing in your head at like a tape for 20 years, you're probably going to work through it pretty quick. But we don't think that, do we? We kind of believe ahead of time, well, God, this is going to be awful. I got to start masking that right now.
Right.
We do what my friend Joel Elston calls awfulizing. You know what awfulizing is?
I mean, I can guess.
Yeah, I think you probably can. But awfulizing is projecting how bad this something going to be. And when we do that, we usually make it much worse than what it actually is.
Ooh. Yeah, and we do that. We do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I hold a little bit of the pain though. I hold on to the pain. It kind of fuels me. I don't know why. It's fucked up. Maybe a little sadistic.
No, that can be done. Because pain is really an expression of an emotion.
Right.
And
it's an energy.
I don't care. And it's an energy. And any kind of emotion. I don't care whether it's positive, negative, neutral, Alpha Centauri. I don't really care what kind of emotion it is. You can leverage an emotion to your benefit because an emotion, what is emotion? What's the acronym they use for it? Not acronym. It's a little puzzle. Emotion. Emotion. It's energy in motion. So emotion is putting your energy into motion. Exactly. Positive, negative, whatever, Yeah.
As long as you're not lethargic, like it's all good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to what they call now level up. I'm still getting used to that term. Leveling up the emotion. So you're at anger and you want to level it up to irritated. Then you want to level it up to boredom and you want to level it up to hopeful and you want to level it, you want to take it one step at a time and just level. And you do that by expressing and feeling and allowing yourself to feel it through every single time.
That's the word, feeling, not masking it.
Yeah, Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret. He was absolutely right. Feeling is the secret.
Yep. 100%. I'm with you.
Yeah. It's cool stuff. So.
It is, man.
So how long have you been doing, the Wolfpack Elite now?
The Wolfpack's been less than a year.
Wow. It's really new.
It's really new and it's just taking off, man. Thank God I've always built a high, big presence online, no matter what I always did.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I've always been asked, hey, mentor. I used to work for Grant Cardone. I don't know if you know him. He wrote the book, The 10X Rule.
Oh, I remember the title. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So I used to train salespeople in major corporations, teach them how to close more deals, and I've always been online. But I just never had the time, the presence, the want, the need. It's more like I didn't want to teach until I came to a place where I could be that leader. You know what I mean? Today, I have the assets, the body, the mentality, the finances to say, okay, you want this? I got you. Before something was off. I had the finances, but my body was fucked up, right? Or body was like ripped, but not the finances. Mentally, I was off. I was out too much. What are the kids today? Now I have a nice product to sell. I like being honest, right? Being true. I hate fake leaders, fake gurus. They're the worst.
Yeah, they don't. Well, first of all, they don't work.
They don't work.
I
But
mean,
they'll
yeah.
take your money.
Well, they'll take the money, sure, yeah, but they really
Right.
don't work. No.
No.
The other thing that is occurring to me too is that in your storyline, let's put it that way, your storyline was about what we call getting into alignment.
Right.
You were aligning. You were basically creating congruence between your message, your actions, your body, everything in your world all had to be congruent. And once it was congruent, then you felt like you could actually mentor somebody else. Well, that was also that congruence that was necessary for reaching your dreams. The two go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
You know, so basically what you're teaching through Wolfpack Elite is congruence.
Exactly. Now I give them a list of non-negotiables. And sometimes they'll talk to me and say, oh man, well, I didn't really hit my macros today, but that's okay. And I texted this guy back, for example. I'm like, is that how you run your fucking business? Like, oh. Well, it's just a macro. I'm like, buddy, you hit me up to level up. If you're weak in one area, whether you like it or not, it transcends to other. And I guess I didn't have the word congruence, but that is an excellent word. Like I have a big sign on my office. It says, I run the tightest program, meaning myself, how I wake up, how I eat, how I close deals, how I service customers. Nobody's tighter than I am. It's just, when it's congruent, shit, everything flies. Because everything's going the same direction.
That's right. Well, that's what being tight
it.
means. I mean, that's what your word tight is all about. It's the same concept. You can call it alignment. You can call it tight. You can call it congruent. It doesn't matter what you can call it. Just don't call it late for dinner. I mean, call it whatever you want. It doesn't make any difference.
Exactly. And I don't think it's something you have to do forever. But I also think that once you start getting the wind of life, I don't think you can have any other life, man.
Well, I'll tell you, and I suspect you already know this, but I'll throw it out there anyway. I think you do kind of have to do it for life, in that life is an ongoing journey where you're constantly growing and you're constantly being challenged.
Yeah.
Stuff's gonna land in your path. You're gonna like some of it you're not gonna like. That's what happens in life. You have to deal with it. How are you gonna deal with it? And that's the growth journey. That's the journey right there. How are you gonna handle all the stuff that comes your way?
Right. Yeah, you have to keep doing it. Also, you can't go back. I mean, you could, but you'll feel, you're fucking up,
Well, I mean, ultimately, subconscious tapes that keep playing, that's going back. That's basically replaying what happened in the past.
I like that.
And you keep replaying it over and over again. It becomes your reality.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So what you basically are doing is you're saying, instead of going through all the woo-woo approaches, I'm going to rewrite the tapes just by taking action. And I'm going to make my action congruent every day. And then the tapes are going to rewrite themselves. I don't even have to worry about the tapes at that point.
Don't get me wrong. I always start my mentorship by having my people write out their 10.0 version.
Okay.
Their demeanor, their appearance, their assets. Basically, who the fuck are they at that highest 10.0? Everybody knows. You know who you want to be. Stop lying to yourself. I make them write it out. I make them read it every morning, every night. That's as woo-woo as I get.
That's woo enough, I would say.
My guy, I like that. I'm gonna get a t-shirt woo. We're both of us.
Yeah, you just take the second woo off and you're good. It's woo.
50% discount. Yeah, I love it.
That's funny. That's really great. So I got to ask you.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that Shapiro was saying that you're going to have a crack up at some point. Well, he didn't actually say it that way, but that's kind of the way you took it. And when you expressed it, it almost sounded like you were saying, "Bring it on! I can hardly wait." Am I misreading that?
No, you read it. You read it. Look, until I hit that, it means I'm still not at that next level. I'm gonna need to take a fat, at least a war. I don't think I'm gonna fall. I think it's gonna be a war. And I'm waiting for it. Any biography, autobiography that you've read of anybody that's done anything great, let's take Schwarzenegger, by the way. That guy's a unicorn.
Okay.
If you read the book Total Recall, you will see his life. That is a man that always wins. He never fucking loses. Austria to bodybuilding, US to movies, to the Kennedys to being in power. That motherfucker does not lose ever. Unicorn. It's incredible. I've read his book 3 times. He's unbelievable. But to get to these next level, he had to fucking fight. To get out of Austria, his parents were saying, man, why are you leaving Austria? When he got to America, his father dies. He didn't even go to the funeral. He say, I ain't got time for this. He's already dead. I'm gonna keep going. And then the movies, they try to fuck him over. The Kennedys, bro, you're not a politician. Why are you gonna marry my daughter? So, right now I'm at a place where I'm like 7 out of 10. Let's say I got 3 more pushes to go, and then there's a big war. I'm waiting for that big war.
Do you have any sense of where it's going to be, or is it still not clear yet?
Man, who knows, man? Life is cool, man. It's gonna bring on something fat, and it's a test. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, you want the next level? Let's see if you can beat the boss right here.
Well, it's very obvious to me it's going to come your way. You're saying, yeah, bring it on, let's go. So it's going to be there, no doubt about that. And it's going to be an interesting story to hear when you're going through it too.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be like like the Gladiators, man, or the Vikings. Let's go.
Do you see yourself like a gladiator?
I see myself like a Viking.
Like a Viking. Okay.
Yeah. Because my family on my mom's side, we're all Norwegian on that side.
Ah, all right.
But
hey,
the Vikings,
the Vikings were also explorers, though.
And that's what we do, isn't it? Life, you explore, man. You explore. You try new things. Absolutely. You live once. You really do live once. You gotta take it all in, man.
And do it with joy. That's the way you do it. You're doing it with joy, I can tell. Hey, someone wants to reach out to you. How do they find you? Maybe they want to become part of the Wolfpack Elite. Maybe they just want to, kind of read about what you're doing, or they want to hear more in a video or something like that. But how do they find out more about what you're doing? And how do they find you?
Thank you. They just hit me up on Instagram at Isaac B Global. I'm super active. Shoot me a DM. I'll answer you. We have groups, free content. Please hit me up. I'm happy to talk to you.
I got to give you credit, and I'll tell you why. I've studiously stayed away from Instagram, partly because there are just too many social medias and I can't keep up with them all, but partly because there's so many people on Instagram who are fake. I mean, it's all about creating that fake persona. And I remember hearing a story about one young lady who had created this persona on Instagram that was so unlike who she was that she didn't dare go out in public. And she had actually tortured herself into staying at home because of this persona she'd created on Instagram.
Oh my God.
I
believe
I gotta give you credit though. I gotta give you credit for taking this monolith that everybody else is using one way and using it genuinely. I give you a lot of credit for that.
I appreciate that. And I say it all the time. Like, before you buy the course, watch my stories because they're almost identical every single day because I've been living my life more or less identically unless I go on vacation. But even on vacation, I wake up at 4. I read, I write, I work out, get to work. Just watch my stories. It's as authentic as it can get. You want a piece? I'll give you the recipe. No problem.
And I have this strong feeling that none of it is edited.
No. This world is edited enough, and I think we know that. Looking at TV, media, news.
I try not to, yeah.
Let this be an honest page.
I try to keep my mind out of that. There's just too much trash there.
I am with you. I haven't watched news in years.
I do flick at the headlines just to make sure I know what's going on because back in 1988, 89, I was not aware that the wall had fallen because I wasn't following the news. So I do keep an eye open just in case something cool has happened, but that's about as close as I get anymore.
As you should. As you should. You're a better person. You have a happier life for it, for sure.
I think it's true. Yeah. Hey, I really do appreciate you being here on the show. Anything else that you want to tell people about? I've got one more thing to tell you, but is there anything else you want to tell people about you or about how to reach out or about your program or, any last message you want to give them along that line?
Oh, well, we're going to be doing a special for the Wolfpack mentees because we're coming out with a new program. Yep.
When's that?
Yep. Middle of this month, probably the 15th, 16th, 17th. So in a few days.
Okay.
So add Isaac B Global. There's going to be different promotions, different events happening. You want to be there.
All right. Excellent. So yeah, definitely reach out. And something I want to tell you too, everybody who is on this program, with maybe one exception over the years, maybe two, but almost everybody else who's been on this program is a giver. That's why they come on the program in the first place. But there are different ways that people give to help other people, to pass it along, to pay it forward, however you want to express it. You're definitely in that group. You're one of those people who just gives and gives and gives and gives. And givers, first of all, are essential to this world. Second of all, there are certain areas that we kind of take it for granted. And I like to kind of compensate for that. Because there are a lot of people that you'll never meet, that you'll never see who, they saw you on the podcast or they saw you somewhere else or they saw some of your content on Instagram or, they gathered something from you and it benefited them in a way that you never find out about because you don't know about them in the first place.
Right.
Well, I like to say on behalf of those people that you've never met and that you've never seen, thank you for what you've been doing and what you're continuing to do because you're making a difference in the world in ways that you can't even see, but it's really there. So thank you for that.
Wow, man, you just made my day with that. Appreciate you all. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I really honestly believe that it's an area of life we just so totally take for granted. And I'm just doing my best to kind of say, let's shine a spotlight on this, especially in this 21st century where we have these technological marvels available to us. And it's so easy to take them for granted. In the mix of people that we're all interacting with or even touching the lives of, we don't get enough credit for what we're doing to help people. So it's heartfelt. Thank you for what you've been doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you for creating this show, man. This is all you as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's one of the main reasons I did it. I did it first for me and then second for, wow, look at all these people who are listening. I gotta do something to help these people. This is great.
God's work, man. I love it.
I love it too. Thank you very much. I so much appreciate you, Isaac. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciate it. And thank you to my podcast listeners everywhere because we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.